Alright guys, hope you're doing well. This is Lewis here, and we're into 2020. Now, been a little bit quiet recently. It's because there's been a lot of things going off. We've got a new brand coming out for 2020. We've got new features, new online apps, online video schools, online shop. There's a lot of stuff going off in the background, but just wanted to nip online just to say thank you for subscribing to the channel. We've reached a great milestone, 5,000 subscribers. My plan for 2020 is to sort of upgrade a lot of things. I've bought new cameras, I've bought new microphones. I know I'm not using them now. But yeah, I just wanted to do a video, and in this video I want to talk about my bookshelf. Over the years, through learning and understanding, various books have come into my life at the right time, for various different reasons, and I think that it's probably a good thing for me just to talk you through some of the books on my bookshelf, and I'm sure they're going to help you out. So yeah. Alright, so these are kind of a small bookshelf in my kitchen, that I tend to keep all my current books that I'm sort of reading on this shelf, and then I got another shelf in the back. So moving through, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through kind of some of the main ones that have stuck out in my life. This is the one I'm reading at the moment. I've got to admit, it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. This is called Flow, and it's about achieving happiness, and it talks about how happiness, he's spoke to thousands of people throughout the world, and found the idea of flow, bringing flow into your life to create happiness. And he says, achieving happiness and contentment and enjoyment is a mixture between finding something that uses up your skills and is also challenging at the same time. And when you get into a flow state is really when you're in peak experiences. So definitely something I'm going to speak about more on the YouTube channel is the idea of flow, because it's really, really amazing. Alright, this is a great book. It's a book by Bill Plotkin. It's called Soulcraft. Basically, it's talking about soul and nature and getting back in touch with nature. This is probably my favourite authors on this sort of thing. He also does another one. I've got another one here called Wild Mind. And this is called A Field Guide to the Human Psyche. It's just basically talking about how we've evolved in nature, and our minds are sort of designed to be in nature, and our souls have evolved, and there's a soul process that you go through with initiation ceremonies and all that sort of stuff. Here's another book by the same author, Nature and the Human Soul, cultivating wholeness and community in a fragmented world. It's definitely something I would recommend. Definitely helps you understand how important it is to respect where we've come from, respect nature, and and understand sort of how the soul has developed through hundreds of thousands of years in tribal sort of settings. Got a book here called The Brother of Jesus, The Lost Teachings of Christianity. I struggled a lot with some of the teachings in Christianity until I realised about early Christianity and how Jesus thought a lot differently, how hell was introduced into the Bible by the rogues as a form of control. And yeah, this book really helped me out when I was sort of not questioning Christianity, but there was a few things that I didn't really sort of sit right with me until Dr. Wilson sort of put me onto this book. And yeah, it's definitely something I would recommend. Here's a cool one, a Christian book by Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe is an excellent Christian speaker. It's called Waiting and Dating. A lot of people are really sort of, they really wanted to get into relationships quite quick, and in reality they need to work on themselves. So if you're in that situation, Waiting and Dating is a good book on that one. This is another book about nature, similar to the Bill Plotkin ones, Order of the Sacred Earth. I've not really actually read that fully yet, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much. This is another book by the guy that wrote Flow, The Evolving Self, The Psychology for the Third Millennium. Again, it's just talking about how how we've evolved and how happiness is connected to our evolution, and how, going out and finding something that's challenging but also fulfilling at the same time is really important for happiness. Back when we used to live in nature, for example, we used to go out hunting, and that created challenge and skill. And at the end of the day, you will get enjoyment and fulfillment if you achieved what you set out to achieve. But you can do the same thing with music, playing guitar, and it's just basically talking about how pleasure and enjoyment's a lot different. Pleasures things like, having a beer at the end of the day, having a steak for tea, sex. It's instant pleasure, but it's not deep fulfillment. And that's what you want to be focusing on, really, is deep fulfillment. I'm going to be skipping a few, just talking about the main ones. This is a good one for anyone that's sort of in relationship problems, who feels insecure. There's something called anxiety attachment and avoidant attachment. So if you feel like needy, or you feel like you're anxious when you're in relationships, this is a good one. I've got a book on terrariums, the most amazing places in Britain. Alright, this is a cool book. This is a book by John Gray. John Gray is the guy that wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Talking about how a lot of men these days are struggling. Women are also struggling as well, but men have lost the purpose a lot in the 21st century. And it talks about how to regain purpose, but it talks more from a parental perspective. So if you're a parent, how you can bring your young men up to be independent, strong people with a good purpose. I've got, obviously, the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus book by the same author, John Gray. I think John Gray is probably one of the best relationship experts out there. He's like the Dr. Wilson for relationships, in my opinion. I really respect some of the stuff that he goes into. This book's an absolute classic, and I would recommend anyone to buy this book. And it's quite old now. I think it was brought out in the 80s, but some of the information in that will just make you appreciate and understand the opposite sex way, way, way more. So anyone that's struggling in relationships, definitely recommend that. This is The Story of B by Daniel Quinn. This is another book I haven't quite got through yet, but Daniel Quinn is an excellent storyteller, and he talks about how we've disconnected ourselves from the natural world, from the earth, and he sort of explains that in a way that is really, really compelling. His other book, which you'll probably see as I go through the books, unless it's somewhere else, it's called Ishmael, and that's really, really good. I definitely recommend it. And it really talks about how much we've disconnected ourselves in a way where you read it and you're like, oh my god, like, how are we so stupid? But society has to sort of trick us into thinking that where we are is a better place, and in many ways it is a better place, but we've lost a lot of knowledge, and it kind of heightens it to a point where you're like, oh my god, why do we not know about this? Saturn Returns is something that you go through in your late 20s. You learn a lot about love. Anyone that's struggling now, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, you're probably going through the Saturn return. It feels really, really turbulent. It's when Saturn returns on an astral, every 28 years in astrology, and it causes some really big problems, a lot of confusion. It's a time when you're learning about love. You might think that everything's going chaotic, but in reality, it's the Saturn's teaching you lessons. I've got a book on primitive skills. This is a book on winter blues. I don't know whether I want to say I suffered from seasonal affective disorder. I did, but it tended to get worse when I was living by myself on my own over winter. No one's doing anything. I haven't got a partner, and living by myself, and obviously got self-employed, and everyone stays in at home these days, and you feel sad. You get seasonal affective disorder, and it's probably a whole video in itself, really, that. But definitely, if you're struggling with that, then it's a good book to read. This is a cool book, Lost Connections by Johann Hari. He basically was given depression tablets and anxiety tablets because he was feeling depressed, and basically realised after a while that it was just making him feel worse. And he basically went out to figure out what causes depression. And again, he learns a lot about it. He finds the 9 causes of depression. Disconnection from meaningful work, disconnection from other people, disconnection from meaningful values, trauma, disconnection from respect, disconnection from nature, disconnection from a hopeful future. So all these things that people just don't speak about enough these days, and it's really causing a lot of problems. When you figure all this out, it kind of super easy. So coming down here, grow your own drugs, kind of got interested in sort of using the natural world to build things and make things. Enneagram for couples. I like Enneagrams. Enneagrams is basically an online personality quiz, and I think there's like 7, 8 or 9 different personality types, but it's very, very accurate, and it can really help you when you're in relationships to figure out what Enneagram type you are, because then you understand the person's personality better. So yeah, if you're interested in that, check out Enneagram online. I got a new classic, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, an antidote to chaos. So a lot of people are realizing that we're living in a yin world. Chaos is just another word for yin, so if you want to be trying to find order as much as possible, 12 Rules for Life is about creating order. And this idea of flow, in reality, what you're doing is you're creating order in consciousness. And when you do that in a specific way, which honors your challenges and skills, then you find that you can create a lot of joy and happiness from it. These are old books when I was kind of getting into God and who is God, and God is everything, God is everywhere, and it was a little bit, made me feel slightly strange that everyone was saying all of the information you need is in this Bible. So I kind of was looking at other primitive religions and see what they was talking about, and quite helpful at the time. Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged. It's basically a story about a world where all the creative people was taken away from the earth, and how the earth just basically fell to pieces. It's very, very good if you're a creative type of person, and you are feeling disconnected, and you read that book and you realise that you are needed in this world. Natural Navigator, that's just getting back in touch with the earth, navigation and food for free, foraging sort of stuff, as I'm sure you're aware that I'm quite interested in, just getting back in touch with nature. This is another foraging book that my girlfriend bought me. But this is my small kitchen bookshelf. We'll go through to the back room and I'll show you some more. So we're in my spare room now, and this is some more books. I'm gonna go through them fairly quick, but there's some good stuff in here. So we've got some books on reflexology. Obviously reflexology is part of the program. Some books about Jesus, the story, about Christianity. I think this is a Buddhist one. Oh no, more Christian books. Let's have a look what we've got. Trigger Point Therapy Workbook is pretty good. For anyone that's suffering with adhesions, trigger point therapy is about basically stimulating various points on the body to help unwind adhesions and knots in the body. It's really cool. These are my gardening books, just again getting back in touch with nature. The Power of Full Engagement was one of the first things I ever bought, one of the first books I ever bought, and it's just basically talking about flow and just getting, being focused in whatever you're doing really, really helps a lot. So up there attached, that's another relationship book. So anyone that's feeling like they're not, codependency is the word for it. I was codependency under there. Anyone that feels like you're dependent on your partner, then these are excellent books. The Codependency of Dummies and the attached one. I've got the King James Study Bible there. Dr. Wilson kind of said study Bibles aren't too good. It's best just to kind of tune in and feel into the Bible yourself. And again, more walking books. That's a cool book, The Right Brain Business Plan. It's basically how to create a business plan if you're sort of a more creative minded person, because that sort of stuff can get super boring. Separate Reality, that's a book about plant medicine. Let's have a look. Reflexology. Everyone's got a Harry Potter book on there on the bookshelf. Freedom from the Known by J. Krishnamurti. This is someone who Dr. Wilson recommends. Really, really powerful person. You know, Dr. Wilson says, you know, if you're ever feeling kind of down, it's a good idea to sort of read biographies and things from people that have had hardships in their life, and J. Krishnamurti was one of them people. So let's see what we've got. This is sort of digital selling things. This was a pretty interesting book I bought a few years ago. The Restless Heart. This is talking about people who feel lonely because they don't have a spiritual outlet like Christianity. So, you know, when I was feeling that loneliness quite a few years ago, you know, this really helped to get in touch with what God is and what God means, and gave me a nice perspective there. Again, another loneliness book, talking about loneliness in terms of in the digital age. This is one of my favourite books, Life After Life by Raymond Moody. It's another book Dr. Wilson recommends. It's basically a book talking about life after death and some of the experiences and some of these stories that he has put together over his years of studying this stuff, and some of the things you hear about is just absolutely unbelievable. This is another book by John Gray, the relationship guy, but it's for men, called Conscious Men. What, you know, some of the points to become a good, strong, solid, conscious man in the 21st century. The book on Ubuntu is basically sort of a co-living, futuristic way of thinking, which is pretty interesting. Wired for Healing is a good one about dynamic neural retraining. So it's retraining the brain. A lot of people have overcome EMF sensitivity from doing that. It wasn't the system I got into, so I'm not an expert on it, but, you know, apart from Nutritional Balancing, it's kind of the only thing that I've heard of that seems to do all right. Boundaries is a Christian book. I got it given to me when I was in the New Age scene, talking about New Age people and how their boundaries are a little bit loose, and you know, that was an interesting book on that. The Urantia book. This is one of the craziest books I've ever come across. I've not read it all. It's huge, but it's another book Dr. Wilson recommends on his website, and it's basically a book about the universe and all of the different sections of the universe and the heavens, and, you know, all the different beings that manage the universe and the super universes. And at the end, it's got a really interesting story about a really interesting section about the about Jesus and a biography of Jesus. So if you want a crazy book to read, to get that one. It's absolutely insane. Alright, book on vegetables. That's a cool book, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. It's basically about Buddhism and their idea of life after death. Basically about reincarnation. Wild Food, Ray Mears, Electromagnetic Fields. So this is kind of probably the best book on EMF sensitivity and EMF and how to protect yourself in the house and the home. It's probably a little bit out of date now because of 5G and all that sort of stuff, but if you want a really good book on EMF sensitivity, then check that one out. I think I've got another Christian book here, or is this a Buddhist one? A little Buddhist book. So, Wildflowers, Taking Control of TMJ was an interesting book when I suffered from TMJ issues and talking about how to relax the jaw and stuff. I later found out that copper toxicity was a big part of it. What else we got? The complete book of self-sufficiency. I think just being self-sufficient is really, really helpful. Just in life in general, you know. If you're completely self-sufficient, you're probably going to be taking up a lot of your time and energy to be self-sufficient. But, every time you can get a little bit self-sufficient, it kind of just gives you this feeling of self-responsibility that's really fantastic. Now, I think some of these books are actually now from my flatmate. So, yeah, these aren't my book. This is a cool book, Love Your Disease. So, me and Dr. Wilson talk about this a lot. Like, being ill is actually a good thing. You know what I mean? If you learn to love it, you learn to realise that, being ill is actually moving you forwards, then, yeah, it kind of helps you out a lot. Hungry for Change is a cool nutrition documentary. The Energy of Prayer. So we're pretty much finished now. This is a good one, Hands of Light. This is another book Dr. Wilson recommends, and it talks about healing energy centers, energy fields, auras, chakras, Reiki, all that sort of stuff. Obviously got the classic by Dr. Wilson, Sauna Therapy. If anyone wants to study more about the program, then I definitely recommend that book. I'm sure I've got his other, his large book somewhere. It's such a mess now. I've read it so many times. This is a cool newsletter by Dr. Paul Eck, the guy that originally kind of developed nutritional balancing. Really, really good health newsletter that I recommend anyone to get from ARL. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to go on for too long, but as I'm sure you've realised that over the years I've kind of picked up quite a few books that have helped me along the way, like different stages through codependency to self-sufficiency to reconnecting to nature, Christianity, happiness, so all of them books that I talked about I would highly recommend. So if any of them kind of resonates with you, then I would definitely recommend to check them out. Alright, keep in touch soon for the brand launch and all that good stuff. Catch you soon.